classes. Good morning, everyone. So, it is first class now. So, good morning to all, also to online people, and I'll be telling good morning. No need to stand also because it's not a school class. So, first we'll talk about the paper, the syllabus you may have seen. So, have you seen syllabus? GS paper second, entire GS paper. So, syllabus, if you have brochures, it is given in that, and plus separately also it is given for GS paper second, that, and section wise it will be also covered. this paper, if you take GS paper second, so it is classified into like this: polity and constitution. Governance. In governance itself, we classify also, bring role of civil services. And then social justice. And next is IR section. Although it depends how you classify. The first thing you have to know in this UPSC is called syllabus. Understanding about syllabus is very important. The basics. So, depends how you classify it. We can put also here in polity constitution also Representation of People Act. This RPA. Or it can be kept separately, but it does not matter. It is part of the traditional polity. But they have made it explicit since 2013. Otherwise, it was part and parcel of polity. Whether you mention it, you do not mention it. Second, when we teach, so we teach from mains perspective. That's why we have started from here, not from prelims perspective. Then prelims will become subset of this. This polity constitution plus some of the governance part, they will be constituting your prelim syllabus. So that is presumed we do not mention it, or we don't need to mention it. So when we talk about the classification, and then if you see the UPSC trends, so one, let's say we see the syllabus, but by syllabus you may not understand much. Syllabus can be even similar to 10+2 level or graduation level. But it matters when we see the UPSC trends, what UPSC does. So, UPSC can, the trends if you see, largely they still focus, let's say, most of the questions will come from this side. Still it has shared highest, if you see the analysis given in tabular form, they will find that most of the still questions will come from this side. Then there can be over 50 questions. Again, let's say that if you see around 50 questions, it's 50 marks, sorry to say that, 50-50 will say this. And same thing, let's say from this side. So, IR generally they ask 5 questions, which can be increase, decrease, but largely it remains 5 questions. Of which 3 questions will be current and 2 questions they will try to make it a bit static or a bit, let's say that ki traditional type, which quite achievable, not a challenging task. Then it comes social justice. So at times they increase it or at times they reduce it. So they keep, let's say that, experimenting with social justice related question, governance related question. But still, let's say that core part will be of this polity and constitution. Although yes, they will constitute almost, let's say that if you have 250 marks, so this we can have 150, this can be 100, still in that way, or let's say it is 120, it can be 130, this way it can be. If you take any single part, so it remains polity and constitution, or people largely know this paper by polity and constitution. We say as polity in shorter form. So that is how classification. Now we have to understand why they have added this section. This was not part of traditional polity, let's say. This is a new part of. It is a new development. This is old one. It remains old and it also remains old. Basically, they have taken developments. So development since if you take 1980s onwards, so those things have resulted into restructuring this syllabus. You know that there was a time when in UPSC questions were asked related to computer, Bluetooth. You have to write 50 words on Bluetooth. Isn't it? There was a time. It can be our time. Now, hardly that kind of question can be asked. So, things change. That is how, let's say, it changes in the syllabus. If you see the entire syllabus, which you may have seen, so just we want to show it, the syllabus, like, so we classify basically constitution and polity, and then you'll see the syllabus in constitution and polity. So before 2013, it was not so classified, it was not so defined, and it was still very narrow. But since 2013, it has become very broad. This by broad means, let's say they have mentioned, that this, you'll see, this can be traditional part. But if you see the functions, responsibility of union state governments, especially executive federal structure, if you see local bodies, so it's like say broadening of the syllabus. And then let's say that this separation of power and then the redressal mechanism, dispute redressal mechanism, we'll see that. So we do not want to redress disputes only through judiciary. We also want to have some alternative mechanisms. That's why it is mentioned. Then you know that this legislature they mentioned, which again let's keep part of the traditional polity. Then it's judiciary and executive. Then let's say what they have mentioned is called ministry and departments. So ministry and departments, they are addition. They were not, let's say, supposed to be taught, read before 2013. And then let's say that it is comparative constitution, generally a question they have been asking from comparative aspect. Although by the time you are taught this, you will know certain aspect of comparative constitution. But it is an addition if you take as a topic, as a separate topic if you find. It is an addition. And then let's see that they have specified such institutions. Although traditional polity will include some of the constitutional bodies, but when they mention it, it means it is having any importance and they are trying to give any importance to that. Plus, they mention not only constitutional bodies, they also mention the statutory, regulatory and other quasi-judicial bodies. Why they are mentioning? So, because these things have become, if you take 20 years back, 30 years back, regulation was not important. But if you talk today, regulation has become very important. Many regulatory institutions, at least you may have heard, SEBI and Competition Commission of India, IRDA, etc. So they have been included in syllabus. Plus, there are many other statutory bodies. You can say NHRC, you can say National Commission for Women, you can say. So, there are other such bodies which were created 90s onwards. So, when they are created, that time they may not be as relevant. Rather, they become relevant once they start working. This because they then start representing your polity system. So that we can consider. We have separately mentioned Representation of People Act. So this we can consider. Then finally it comes social justice. So social justice, if you say, our constitution has DPSPs and it is not new, but emphasis has become new. Today when we give emphasis on social justice, justice is not only important, social justice is important. So that's why you'll find that this has been given a special significance, and these institutions have also started playing important role. Nowadays, if you see this self-help groups, cooperatives and non-governmental organizations, etc., then other things this they have mentioned. So we'll tell it just to remind it, then education, health, etc. No. So social justice, again they have specified. And if you take in UPSC, so in UPSC, social justice remains an important focus across papers, be it paper 1, 2, 3, 4, essay, whatever. So they give special emphasis on social justice. That's why in paper 1 also there is society. And in economy also you will have social economy. And in ethics also you can have social ethics. Anyhow, then finally let's keep governance, etc. IAR. That is how the syllabus we can consider about this paper. Then we'll start with basics. Basics call, let's say, how you should prepare and all blah blah things, isn't it? The first class ka jo formality hota hai, we have to complete it, isn't it? Anyhow, so because that gives you idea how to approach paper. So because that will help you in strategizing how you should approach this paper. So first, if you take the 4 sections, yes. So it is the core part, as we have referred. So before you start telling what is polity, etc., the basic thing you should follow this, let's say, is sources of reading if you talk. Sources of readings. So there we have some NCRTs. Right, you should follow for building your basic understanding. That NCRTs are related to, basically you can say that this one is called democratic politics. You can read 1 and 2. This. Then it is called Constitution at Work. At work, and this is called political theory. Which we say as, let's say, they will work as pre-foundation. So it's better that you read as fast as possible. As of now, your task should be to download it. They are all nowadays downloadable. Right? You can go to NCRT website, you can download it, and you can read them. Why you need to read them? Because when we use some of the terminologies, when we talk to you, so you may not understand, but we will not be bound by that. No? When we teach something, we talk something, we are not bound by this. You are not aware about this. So When we teach something, let's talk related to fundamental rights. But we can use some of the terminology which are related to local bodies, but we have not taught local bodies. This we can use some of the terminologies related to governance. Let's say we'll tell governance. We showed the governance, but you do not know what is governance. So that's why NCERTs will build your understanding, and they are written in a let's say simple manner. It's very simple. It's very lucid. That 10+2 level, let's see, students should understand. Are they expected to understand? You are much grown up than them. So you can understand better. That will build your understanding. And don't treat it NCERTs as something they are not relevant. Forget about what market says. If you have come here, believe in us what we say. We have experience not of 1 year but many years, and we know what is better, what is not better. So, given the nature of paper, if you see, since 2023, nowadays we have started saying it UPSC 2.0 also. A new beginning of UPSC, a new incarnation of UPSC. You can see nowadays what is happening. Even a petition has been filed in Central Administrative Tribunal that its cutoff should be reduced to 23% from 33%. No, so those who do not know about UPSC, they will say that कि UPSC के बच्चे क्या 33% भी नहीं ला सकते CSAT में, isn't it? They will laugh at you. Those who do not know this, so CSAT was qualifying. The people take it for granted. This, but nothing you can take for granted. It shows. That's why basics are very important. This, and that's why you should know. And as soon as possible, you should study. Means tell to yourself, I have to study. It's the fastest manner. In 2 days, 5 days, 10 days, whatever the time. This, then you will start an understanding will be, let's say, that there in you related to polity. This, so this is one aspect. Then any book which you should follow religiously, day-to-day basis for polity is, you know, it is well known, isn't it? Lakshmikant. Right? Indian polity. Yes. But it is not a reliable book. This is true. It is a book which is followed by people. It is very common book, but it is not reliable in the sense that the language that it writes is not reliable. This, because polity is about language also, legality, legal aspect. This you have to understand. Questions are about legal aspects. So, this you will understand later stage. At this stage you don't have to. It's not reliable. For which a book which is reliable is called DD Basu. Yes. So you should follow DD Basu if you can. But the challenge is it is a difficult book to understand. This. But today, given the nature of polity now, since you can say that 2020, 21 or 23, if any book that can help you better, it is called DD Basu, not Lakshmikant. But Lakshmikant, the difference between Lakshmikant and DD Basu is not exactly as per syllabus. This is true. But, and it may not give you that exact facts which are important. But Lakshmikant is as per your syllabus. It covers all the topics. That is the only difference you can find. Plus, it explains the basic factuals. It is less analytical, more factual, you can say. DD Basu is more analytical, less factual. Yes. And what DD Basu says is a final word, you can say. Not what Lakshmikant says is the final word. Right. Like that time will come one day when we'll tell. At this stage, again, this is how we say to expect. But you should know that we tell that India is a federal polity. At least you understand federal polity. Yes. Now then question is which type of federal polity? No, is it a quasi-federal polity, or it is a federal polity with centralizing tendency, or it is a unitary state with federal characteristics? So, when different characterization will be posed before you, then you will face challenge. What exactly is the characterization? Then how can we know which one is the most appropriate? So Lakshmikant will not give you this understanding. It is D.D. Basu which will give. This is what. That's why we told you that. Okay? Just to understand. So D.D. Basu is a book which you can enjoy provided you go through the process. This you can follow as per our class. When our class, let's say, starts with topic wise, so those topic wise you can read them, but don't wait for them for topic wise. Finish them in 1 week, let's say that, because 3 days we have class for polity, 3 days we have class for history. So you get time, at least in 1 week or 2 weeks you finish them. So this is what we can talk about, the basic source you can say of this polity related NCERT, then Lakshmikant and D.D. Basu. Then they will help more of, let's say, core conceptual understanding. They will not help you in contemporary developments, current developments, isn't it? So what do you mean by current development or contemporary? So they can deal with, suppose we have to write on fundamental, you have to understand fundamental rights. They can help you understanding fundamental rights. You want to understand DPSPs, they can help in understanding DPSPs, federal polity. But suppose that already we have EWS, reservation, and Supreme Court judgment, they will not help, isn't it? They will not help on them. Plus, there are so many developments which keep happening. On that basis, your topics, let's keep footing gets broadened. Let's say ki hate speech. Hate speech, isn't it? So you will not find much on that. Legally, not let's say that ki, if it is asked what is hate speech, it has its also definition. Defamation. Abhi chal raha hai case, isn't it? What is defamation? Rahul Gandhi has been punished. So they are recent developments. They are part and parcel of somewhere, but they will not deal with those aspects. That's why you have to depend on some other sources. And those sources are that will give you. Right. That like today you may have received. So we give you printed notes plus some handouts plus we'll give you some other soft copies plus editorial discussion, means current compilation, which is editorial, we say editorial discussion. Like the notes that you have been given today, this related to fundamental rights, you will find that it will cover all those things. Right? It is based on contemporary developments. Basically, what you have to know, any subject has 3 classification. It can have conventional, it can have contemporary, and current. Any subject you read, any topic you read, largely we can categorize in this. Any topic. Or most of the topic we can categorize into conventional, contemporary and current. The notes are books that you get. Largely they help books here. Books will help it conventional. Right. Like let's say that we want to know about reservation. reservation. So even Lakshmi can give you a just factual evolution, right? That when committee was set up, then when Indra Sahani case, Nagarajan case, but thereafter it will not talk. We have gone to BK Pavitra case 1 and 2. Right? Things have gone to that level. But at best he can explain at Nagaraj case 2007. So it is a contemporary development because reservation was not there when constitution was framed. Therefore, constitution is not very elaborate on reservation. Rather, we have amended we have introduced through amendments. So, books will not deal much related to contemporary. Now, even if you know contemporary, but you have to know also current. अभी क्या status है? Isn't it? Many topics have till date, let's say that. Till date, what is the status? So, current also becomes important. That's why basically polity and economy, they become very dynamic. And IR is completely dynamic, isn't it? You know conventional IR through current IR. Right. If quad has come in news, then you will try to know what is quad. No. Or if SARC has come in news, you will try to know what is SARC. This way. Are you able to understand? So, any topic. So, what we were trying to say is sources. In sources, since contemporary and current will take a bit time, we have to first focus, means you have to focus first related to conventional aspect. This, and largely let's say ki our focus will also be on conventional part. Although when in conventional topics related to current and contemporary will come, so you will deal that also. This, it's not that we will leave that, but first you have to build your understanding related to conventional, and that will help you in building your understanding related to contemporary and current since you read newspaper. So for current you read newspaper, you read other sources, so that will understand. Hence your approach should be more to focus on conventional. Read less newspaper. As of now you should not read newspaper more than 1 hour. This you should know. Why? Because if you have, people can have a wrong strategy to prepare. So what you do is that you are more motivated by this current developments, isn't it? And market is flooded with current developments. YouTube is also flooded with current developments. Right? The YouTube based preparation nowadays. So then your preparation will be distorted. Yes. So without conventional knowledge, we should not focus much on contemporary and current, and for that you have to study conventional first and minimize your focus in current affairs. Because they will come on the way. You don't have to put extra effort on that. Anyhow, the printed notes plus handout, that is how they will help. Then, since you have, let's say that join classes here, in class also we'll teach it, and it is taught very comprehensively. The class itself can be substitute of all. This you should know that. Put all one side and class on the other side. If you understand in class what we teach, you write those notes also, suppose you have prepared notes, the things are properly dictated, especially for mains, let's say that, in 90% you can depend on class notes, what we teach in the class. This rest 10% you can keep adding yourself. Right? And since prelims is a subset of, let's say, mains, the mains you have prepared, it will also help in prelims. Although for prelims, yes, we have to have some special focus. That's why for prelims we have separate classes, so that we can have special focus on that from prelims perspective, which is generally taken towards October, November or December. So that demands a bit different aspect, and that is how the approach, let's say, we can talk related to this polity conventional side. Then it comes governance and role of civil service. Plus social justice. This. So you can depend completely on the notes that will provide. Why? See, those topics are less relevant for prelims. This is they are not relevant for prelims. Okay. That's why on them, let's say, you don't need to follow any textbook first. Secondly, they are more contemporary and current. Hence, market does not have any suitable textbook. This. You write today textbook, tomorrow it is outdated. This. That's why market has not also supplied any appropriate textbook. You can have textbooks like this, Lakshmikant, this Dede Basu, or any other, बहुत सारे और भी है, Kashyap, etc., isn't it? But on contemporary governance, you have another book of Lakshmikant, but that's not relevant. It's almost, let's say that, wastage. Because what you are going to read in that governance, they are not going to ask. That's why market has not supplied any suitable book on that. And same thing about social justice. Right. Market has again not supplied. That's why you have to depend on the printed notes that we give, plus we'll teach in the class. And even on printed notes, you need to rely less because they are mains oriented. When they are mains oriented, so we teach in such a fashion that the class notes itself adequate. Like say we have self-help groups. We will teach in such a fashion that further reading you don't need. This same thing about civil society, non-governmental organization. Same thing about governance, RTI, Citizen Charter, Lokpal. These are the topics, let's say, in governance and civil services also. Although we'll give you printed notes, plus since they are dynamic also. The dynamic means you will get ED materials also, ED class also, current affairs classes also. And in the class itself it will be taught. So it is adequate. So for that you don't have to read any textbook. So basically what you have to read in polity, for this polity, let's say that Lakshmikant and D.D. Basu. I guess your burden is less, isn't it? That's why you should read Lakshmikant and D.D. Basu at least 4 times. Minimum 4 times. This is how. Once, twice से कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आएगा और आएगा तो थोड़ा थोड़ा समझ में आएगा. You will know less. So when you will know less, question is asked, then you will not find कि I have read at all. So you will again go and read. So first reading, second readings, they don't give you in-depth understanding. The same book you read 3rd time, 4th time, you will find that, oh, this is also written here. Why I missed in first reading? Yes. That's why multiple readings, people, many people also say the strategy, read limited number of books, but multiple times. So that is how you have to understand. It means you have to tell to yourself, you have to depend on this NCRTs as pre-foundation, basics you can consider, plus Lakshmikant and D.D. Basu. Yes. And they will help you building knowledge related to this conventional part or most of the aspect of this paper. As far as IR is concerned, in IR also, since it is related to further current, you have to depend the same thing. IR also this, plus this. So when IR will come, or meanwhile you will be given, the materials will be gradually given. This. And since materials are being updated also, we update also. So even if you get some booklets which are fixed type of booklets, printed notes, so but we are adding on that the updated materials. Like you have got fundamental rights related, it is quite updated one. This and one printed notes that you have got. So it is updated one, you should follow this one. This because we are updating it since changes you'll find and lots of developments happen. So you prepare a material today, tomorrow it becomes less relevant. So that way we can consider, and that is how it can give you understanding. And then we'll have to come to understand from basics what is polity, what is constitution, and blah blah things, isn't it? So let's start from that. So you understand polity? No. What is polity, by the way? What we say to polity? When we say polity, what does it mean?
So it deals with the system of government.
It deals with
system of government.
Yes, system of government. Yes. Any other? Yes, someone is saying, can I completely rely on class notes? Yes, for mains examination, I can tell you. For prelims, so you have to depend also on prelims classes, I will tell, plus the prelims tests which will be conducted. So that way we can consider. So prelims, because prelims demand very sharper understanding, finer understanding. This mains demand a bit broader understanding. The finer and broader, two are different things, isn't it? So that way we can consider. But for mains, we can say completely you can depend. This is how people are doing. People follow these handwritten notes. Yes, in market you can see that, isn't it? Anyhow, so polity we say as it is about, it deals with system of government. System of government. Then constitution.
So it is a legal document which deals with the machinery of the state and its objectives and the rights of the people.
Yes. So now we have started gradually understanding about paper second, and we'll try to build today understanding related to paper second. Even if you know some people, but still we teach, we tell all these things. So it is important to understand these things. So when we say polity, so polity means it is a system of government. So system of government, this we have to understand. So what is that system of government? We'll elaborate later. When we say constitutions, it is a legal document. Constitution means a legal document. So we have our constitution, which is a legal document. What it deals with, you know it better. At least some initial level of understanding you have about constitution. It deals with aims, objectives, structure, role, functions of the state, this or the government, you can say. It means that this system is governed by a constitution, isn't it? The system, polity, is governed by a constitution. That's why a constitution is needed. Then comes to governance. The governance is a process. It will take time to understand, but that is how I told that. Okay. Gradually you will understand these things, and you will understand fully when the time will take governance topic. This. So we also do not expect that today you will understand everything. And if you do not understand everything, it is not a problem. This you should know. The child cannot be expected to behave like father. The child will have to grow to become father. Sorry to say that. So everything that is taught is not supposed to be understood that day itself. Because many things are related to coming time, coming classes. When they will come, you will understand. But yes, what we are saying, the approach you should understand. This. So the approach is that we say governance. But there is a huge gap between when we say polity, constitution and governance. Why it came? And we have told civil society, you may not know much. Then we have told private sector, you know, public means government sector. So governance has been added so that we can collectively solve the problems of society. Why? Somehow government here alone was not able to solve problems effectively. You may see Modi ji, our Prime Minister, keeps talking people participation. No, we have 73rd Amendment, people participation. Many programs, we have people participation, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. You may have heard all these things. So there are several such developments in which government is also encouraging people's participation. Because without their participation, especially let's say, which is civil society, so we may not be able to execute it properly, govern this constitution. And private sector is also needed. Nowadays, public-private partnership तो सुना ही होगा आपने. No, या सारे रोड देखते होगे आप, कितने अच्छे रोड बने हैं, isn't it? तो ये किसने बनाया है? प्राइवेट सेक्टर ने बनाया है. पहले कौन बनाता था? अभी भी let's say PWT. No, state level, the road was constructed by government departments, but now road is constructed by L&T. आपने बोर्ड पे देखा होगा L&T. This. So private sector is helping. Problem क्या है? We have written solving the problem. Problem is कि good road we need. We do not have good road. Isn't it? One problem of society, people do not have good road. So how we can solve that problem of not having good road? So let's have others participation. The public-private partnership gets this. That's why now government has become more governance type. This simply understand. Then, which I will again tell after elaborating a bit. Then social justice, when we say that, so it is targeting or it is aimed at those who are vulnerable sections of society, weaker sections of society. So why we have so much focus on weaker sections of society? Because society has remained like that. Since ancient time to today, society has always focused to solve the problems of those who are poorest, and it has still not solved. Isn't it? So I say generally that people have become rich by writing on poors, but poors remain poor. Isn't it? Anyhow, so we have not been able to solve. Why it is important to solve? So all religions teach charity. Why they teach charity? This even religions also teach charity, isn't it? So that is how, let's say, and so it is integral part of any religion. This that's why, let's say, even in religion also poor people have found their place. Right? So why not in polity they will find their place? Right? This so when there is a justice and poor people do not get justice, that justice has no meaning. This a country can be better, not key whether it has sent missions on Mars, but how people live life. If a country is able to ensure to people a dignified life, then that country is considered as a good country. This is how the aim of polity. The polity does not only aim at running the government. No, preamble we have. No preamble, ideals of constitution. The beginning of the constitution itself is ideals of constitution. And what it envisages? It envisages that we the people of India. There is a justice, social, economic, political. In order it is mentioned. You should know this. This is finer aspect of knowledge. So justice, then they do not mention political first. They have mentioned social, then economic, then political. Yes. So if people are not able to live dignified life, then that country governance is questioned. Then, similarly, if you are not able to do, you also want to become civil servant to help people again, isn't it? Why you want to join civil service? To help people. Which which type of people? Who are those people? Common man. बट यूएस में तो ये स्पिरिट नहीं है अब, इसलिए वहां कोई कॉमन मैन है नहीं. It does not have people like us, those who are huge backward, etc. More and more backwardness, poverty, that is inspiring you, that you want to play your role. This. So that way, this is how, why you want to play your role, because somehow, somewhere you feel that, people should not suffer. This is how, that is how you are inspired. But suppose just let's take a hypothetical situation, there is no poverty. Will you be inspired to join civil services? Rural districts. So then you will be inspired in terms of if you like it yourself. That's why in developed countries, all sorts of job people like. Not only one or two. Because society is more equal. Right. But in our country, IAS is the most popular, no, most prestigious, isn't it? Service. Why? You want to serve people. Even your also orientation is towards social justice. Religion orientation is also social justice. The polity aim will also be social justice. This is how social justice. And how we can have social justice? So we need to bring some specific, let's say, initiatives for those people. And that's why we can say social justice, governance. So we have to deal in this paper. In this paper, we have to deal related to polity. Means we'll try to understand, by polity, we'll try to understand system of government, structure of government, role and functions. No. By this, we'll try to know this structure, role and functions. Government. This. That is entire polity, isn't it? Entire polity is this. You can see this functions and this. Then you can see this is also part of this. Parliament is also, this is also, this is also. So polity, this is how, that's why it is polity. Polity will deal with the structure of the government, institution of the government, this, its role and functions, this. And then this will tell you about the constitution. The constitution will give, let's say, legal basis. Legal basis to polity. Legal basis to polity. इसका मतलब क्या है? No, तो गवर्नमेंट क्या करेगी कि मान लो कि बिल ही इंट्रोड्यूस नहीं किया पार्लियामेंट में. नो, बोलेगी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन तो बोलता नहीं है. तो बिल इज पास्ड बाय एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर. इतना तो छोटा छोटा अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगा, isn't it? या अभी जो दिल्ली का ऑर्डिनेंस चल रहा है, न्यूज तो सुना होगा. तो गवर्नमेंट ने एक ऑर्डिनेंस लाया है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने जजमेंट दिया, वो हॉलीडे पे चले गए और गवर्नमेंट ने ऑर्डिनेंस लेके आ गए. और ऑर्डिनेंस से सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट को उन्होंने नलिफाई कर दिया. अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट हॉलीडे पे है, अगर वो आर्बिट्ररी भी है तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट कुछ कर नहीं सकता है, isn't it? हालांकि गवर्नमेंट के पास अपना लीगल अंडरस्टैंडिंग होता है. सो इफ यू डू नॉट हैव ए लीगल बैकअप टू दिस पॉलिटी, इस स्ट्रक्चर का कोई लीगल बैकअप अगर नहीं है, तो देन स्ट्रक्चर विल नॉट रिमेन स्ट्रक्चर. इट कैन बी फ्रीक्वेंटली चेंज बाय एनी गवर्नमेंट. गेटिंग? That's why society, when society has evolved, it has evolved with a democratic polity. It has evolved with a democratic polity. And that democratic polity has also evolved with a system of constitution, which is nothing but a law. Constitution से डरना नहीं है, ये law है. जैसे और कोई भी law होता है, वैसे constitution भी एक law है. The constitution, अब जो चीज आपने constitution में लिख दिया, whatever you have written in the constitution, it is लक्ष्मण रेखा, it is final. When we can change, so we can change by some mechanisms. Almost it is final, subject to change also, isn't it? But क्या हम सब कुछ चेंज कर सकते हैं? नो. इसलिए तो बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर आया. दिस बेसिकली लीगल. तो व्हेन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन विल गिव यू बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, फाइनर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ दिस सिस्टम ऑफ गवर्नमेंट. दिस एंड देन यू विल अंडरस्टैंड अबाउट पॉलिटी, द पॉलिटी दैट वी हैव, एंड दैट इज हाउ द रेलेवेंस ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वी कैन से. एंड देन पॉलिटी, लेट्स से दीज थिंग्स विल टॉक यू विथ लेटर. As we have told that even if you have constitution, even if you have polity, but they are not able to govern effectively, then you need governance. This how it is. So let's talk further. So let's know about polity. Polity. So as we say, it is a system of government. No. We say it as system of government. Now, can we say this system of government is new? It is not new. It is as old as society. Right? So this, let's say that it is having also ancient. Ancient time. And who talks in ancient time basically? You know that we have Plato, Republic, then Aristotle, the Politics, these are some early stage, let's say that, of polity, talk on polity. But the name itself, the Republic, he wrote the book name, or the politics name, you know that. The name itself is related to polity. They had whatever they talk. They, then since we are talking nowadays, Indian aspect also, isn't it? The Kautilya also. Kautilya, he has also his Arthashastra. And Arthashastra is not economics. This you should know that. Right. It is a statecraft. So क्या बोलते हैं? Statecraft. And statecraft is about system of governance. Right? So there were, let's say that, people who talked about polity, which we do not want to know much at this stage. Gradually we will know when we'll further proceed in our topics. Let's come to medieval time. So basically it does not have its much of influence, let's say. But we can say that polity can be more known in terms of monarchical system. No. You can have a monarchical system. Right. We can have dictatorial system. Or absolute rule, let's say that. We can have absolute rule. Then this authoritarian also. So there are different types of names, you'll find that. Authoritarian, you say, monarchical. The same monarch can be authoritarian, or the same further extreme levels, he can be absolute. And at the same time, they can be a bit benevolent also, welfareist also, isn't it? So, but largely you find that characteristics, if you see, of medieval time, it was more of a monarchical system, more of a feudal system also. The feudal system also you can find other things. Then let's say that largely you know that this people started fighting against them. So people started fighting against such systems, isn't it? So what resulted by this? English Revolution. No, it is 1600, I guess, 86 or something, 88. Then we have French Revolution. No, 1700, 1789. Then we have American Revolution. No. So, such changes, let's say, revolutions. What are the, let's say that, factors which influence such revolutions? These are the factors. No, when there was absolute rule plus further changes in society, so people started fighting for their independence. They wanted to have their independence. They wanted to have their democratic rights. They wanted to enjoy their freedom, liberty, equality, all these things. Meanwhile, philosophers also started writing about this. Philosophers. Who are those philosophers? So, you'll find some philosophers like John Locke. No. Rousseau. Sorry. Voltaire. Montesquieu. No. So similarly, let's say that Mill, J.S. Mill, others. See, there were thinkers, or there were, let's say, political philosophers like Plato, Aristotle, Kautilya. They had talked about certain an ideal system, basically. What they talk about? Ideal polity, you can say that. Right. Which still, let's say, that inspire us. Kautilya still, let's say, that inspires us. We have philosophy that we can consider. But there is a decline, let's say. There is a decline this time. Then people start fighting for, and when they start fighting for, let's say, largely they have influence. They have influenced their fights and the rights that they were talking about. So the rights and fights will say that. So largely what they will talk about: liberty, this equality, freedom, and how you get such liberty, equality, and freedom. Right. When you get democracy. And that is how we need a democratic polity. So we have a democratic polity. This because liberty is not possible in UAE, isn't it? Liberty is not possible in UAE. If you do anything wrong, whatever they think right, they will punish you. You are under custody. You are not allowed to talk. This. So, liberty is not possible in a monarchical system. Liberty is possible in democracy. Why? This is what you have to understand. It will take time to understand. So, about polity, let's talk. So, we talk about modern polity. Modern polity is about democratic polity. Modern polity is about democratic polity. This, what is this democratic polity? Let's talk. State. A state is characterized by first territory, second people, third sovereignty, fourth government. Democracy means rule by people. Democracy. Demo is a system of let's say that rule. Sorry, crazy is a system of rule. Demo means people. It is ruled by people. Yes. Now, So people, if you talk that, people, they overthrew monarchical system, they established a democratic system. Any such democratic system means ruled by people, and ruled by people means, you know, that the sovereignty is important. Any state that is sovereign, we are a sovereign state now. 47 we got independence. Before that we were not a sovereign state, isn't it? So why sovereignty is important? Because without sovereignty you cannot be independent, you cannot be a democratic state. So democracy demands sovereignty. Any state, it is a modern, so it is a, let's say, modern characteristics. Everything that already we have written it, but it is a modern characteristics that people, territory, sovereignty and government. Any state has four constituents. When we use the term state, it has four constituent or four elements. Right? Territory, because without territory, state is not possible. And territory will have people, isn't it? And then sovereignty and government. This. So, this what people, let's say that, what that democracy, let's say, democratic polity, when we say, a system of government which is elected by people. People will elect that, let's this. Then this there should be checks and balances. Democratic polity, when we say. So, when we say system of government, the system of government means not only one government. Right? Rather, it is a body of different institutions constituting as government. This. So, it is not one government, let's say. Let's say we have also three layers of government: union, state and local. At the same time, there are, say, different machineries that we have. Judiciary we have, CAG we have, Election Commission of India we have. So this all together will constitute, let's say. So that is how it is elected, but that's not only enough. Division, let's say that powers would be divided into different entities, different institutions. And when powers are divided, so we should have some checks and balances so that they can work together. So that way we can say a kind of democratic polity. This, which you can understand alternatively also. Alternatively, let's see, when we have a state, any state has, let's say, people and government. Yes. And this state is an independent state. Now we are talking an independent state. Now, this state, why people started talking that they should be governed by a state, not monarch. Right? People, why they started? They want their independence. This. So they created a state. But don't you think that state can also become arbitrary? State can also become exploitative, which people may be aware. It's not that they were not aware. Right? So basically, when a state you have, so a state also cannot govern itself. You should know that. When people created states, it cannot govern itself. State also cannot govern itself. So you need, it means we need government. This. And this government must be elected. This government must be elected. But again, let's say that this government can become arbitrary. To check government, what we use? Legislature. We have created legislature, another organ, a law-making institution. Because government, if it is all alone, it can also become arbitrary, like monarchical system. Hence, people, let's say, have talked also of another organ that is called legislature. But both are more or less, let's say, belong to the same category. Isn't it? It is also elected, it is also elected. There should be another institution which can create check on them. That we have created judiciary. Right. So ultimately a state has, what has happened? A state has three organs, we can say. State has three major organs. This. State has three major organs to govern people. But only three organs cannot govern. They need other institutions also. No, we need other institutions. Like say government. Let's say you have to conduct elections. To conduct elections, you need also other institutions. We have Election Commission of India. Then other machineries also, you need CAG, you need UPSC. They will become other, let's say that pillars of the democratic polity, which we'll talk you later. Let's first try to understand what we are trying to say. So, that is how you say that a state has three organs. Right? A state has three organs. So, now, the relation between three organs will tell whether there is separation of power or not. No. Some states follow separation of powers. Some states do not follow separation of powers. This. But these organs state at apex level. Next, a state cannot govern itself. A state can be big, people can be very diverse. Like say can we govern by center only? Right. The state may, let's say that, may not govern. So that's why the nature of a state, let's say, has happened. So this, on the basis of that, either it can be unitary or federal. State can be unitary or federal. Unitary means there is one center and all people are governed by one government. But federal means people are governed by multiple units of government. Like say we have union and states and local governments. No. But UK does not have that kind of system, which we'll talk you later. So, a state can have separation of powers. A state may not have separation of powers. Then a state can be unitary or a state can be federal, depending on the nature of the state, how it governs to people. Right? Whether it governs itself or it divides powers among other organs. This. and then let's say elected government. So elected government, again let's say we can have whether the government is directly elected or indirectly elected. No, should we elect a government which head is directly elected, or should we elect, let's say, members and they in turn will elect their head? How elections should be held? How the government should be elected? Right. So that has given rise to another nature of polity, and that nature of polity is considered what we say presidential versus parliamentary system. No, parliamentary. No. And all these things, if they are mentioned in the legal document, that is called constitution. It can be written or unwritten. It can be separation of power or lacking separation. When we say a polity now or a democratic polity, what it will have characteristics? Okay. Government will be elected government. There would be elected government. The government machinery, let's say that in that the three organs there should be separation of powers. There should be a legal written document known as constitution, and let's say it should be unitary or federal, and let's say that it should be presidential or parliamentary. Right. This is what we have to understand in your first. Like by the time we'll read all these things, the first, these all topics, then you will have understanding about them. And then you will have understanding about polity. Right. What, let's say that what we can say polity means. Is what we mean by polity, let's say. That is how it will be. So yes, now as. Yes, yes. We presume it. We presume it. Yes. It is presumed. They were not a state. We say monarchical state. Right. Theological state. We use like that. We do not use the term state per se. The state has four constituents, which will have sovereignty, that is called independence in lawmaking, and government. Yes. So they were not a state, but then what you will mention? You will mention any entity. We will say it as a monarchical state, or we'll say it as a theological state, or a dictatorial state. That way it is called. Right? Yes. Are you able to understand what we are saying? Basically, we are trying to give you basic understanding of what is polity per se. Right. The polity is a system of government. Now, that system of government is established in modern times. This because whatever we had the system of government in medieval time, it was monarchical system, and ancient times it was also monarchical and less known. This we have here and there some written documents. On the basis of that we tell them or consider them ideal, but we do not know much about them. What we know is a democratic polity which evolved in modern times, and that democratic polity evolved because of those revolutions. This so don't tell in the first class itself. I don't want to sound other things, but आजकल हम ये बोलना शुरू कर दिए हैं कि इंडिया इज टेम्पल ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी. दिस बिकॉज ऑफ G20 हमने ये बोलना शुरू कर दिया है, इंडिया इज टेम्पल ऑफ democracy. Yes, you can tell it, not a problem. Anything can be told. But when you start knowing polity more and more, then you more and more come to know that we cannot say this. Right? So why? Because so far we have not mentioned anything related to India. No. When talking about polity, like a revolution and those things. So modern polity is a Western contribution. Whether you like it, you do not like it. It does not matter. Because you cannot teach polity without teaching modern polity the way it has evolved. Like constitution. They have given the idea of constitution. What is constitution? Or all these characteristics that we are saying, sir, it's coming from their side. Although it does not matter whether you say their side or our side. We are not here to talk in that way. Right? So, a polity, when we say a system of government, that system of government will have some characteristics. Right? And that is what you have to write. So, let's write few lines, then further we talk. Right? Right. Polity deals with a system of government. A system of government. System of government. The modern polity is characterized as democratic polity, which evolved during 17th and 18th century with following characteristics. First, a system of elected government. Like a sovereign state. Next, people with democratic rights. Next, a system of constitution. Next, three organs of state with separation of powers. Next, unitary or federal polity. Next, parliamentary or presidential form of government. Change in paragraph, then you write. The modern polity has evolved. Largely against monarchical system and absolute rule. People fought against such rules through revolutions revolutions, which were also inspired by political philosophers, as mentioned above. Political philosophers, as mentioned above. We have mentioned already, you can see from that. This. Therefore, polity has its own defined democratic characteristics in modern times, which India has also adopted. India has also adopted. In fact, the factors which influence evolution of democratic polity, the factors which influence evolution of democratic polity are as follows. First, people wanted democratic rights like liberty, equality and freedom. Next, there should be rule of law. Next, people should have greater say. In democratic polity. Next, government should be responsible to people. Next, the objective of the state is to serve people. Rather than serving to itself. That is, change the paragraph, then you write, that is, the idea of any democratic state is that each and every person should live a dignified life. Which is possible through a democratic system of governance. As against monarchical system. For instance, in case of India, people started freedom struggle movement. freedom struggle movement. To get independence, as they also had democratic aspiration. They also had democratic aspirations. And that's why after independence, a democratic polity was established. A democratic polity was established. This, so simple, let's say that even you can learn by our own history. When people started demanding independence, and why they started demanding independence that time itself. No. Why? Idea may have come. No. When you start demanding independence from your parents, sorry to say that, but although it is still first class, I don't want to be other type, but anyhow, when you start demanding freedom from your parents, when you grow up, isn't it? This. So similarly, let's say that when society grows up, it has its aspirations. It demands independence. Why you want independence even from parents? This is how human. Parents can interfere in your decision as when you were a child. You wanted more attention by parents. They gave attention also. You were happy. Now you want less attention. Isn't it? When they will give you more attention. You will say that I am grown up now. This. So people, let's say, because you want to take decision yourself, you want to be yourself, you want to live the way you want your life. This is called dignified life. Dignified life का कोई बहुत बड़ा definition नहीं है. इसका कोई standard नहीं है. Dignified life is that when you get your freedom to take decision, freedom to live the way you want, right? You get respect in society, not because what you have, rather let's say that what you are. Isn't it? बहुत ही basic चीज है. In our society, we don't respect people in the name of caste, religion, community, this and that, rich, status, poor. No. This. So, dignity when there is a democracy. In family also, there should be democracy. Gradually, I will start telling and you will start learning. Everything starts from family. If you want to know any society, know first its family. And it will tell you characteristics of society. If family lacks democracy, society will lack democracy. It is very simple. Because society is nothing but summary of families. This. So people started talking about this. Why they started talking? Because no one likes exploitation. No one likes exploitation. Today or tomorrow in Arabian countries, people will demand for democracy. It is just a matter when there is democracy, democratic things they will have aspiration. Already there was Arab Spring. You may be aware a bit. Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was about bringing democracy. So, democratic aspiration is based on what ancient time we have told, they were talking. They have told human is a political animal. Human is a social animal. Who told? Aristotle. That time he told, no, human is a political animal. So when you are a political animal, you will have political aspirations, not necessarily to contest election, but you want your freedom. You want your choice. You want your rights. This is how political animal. And social, you want to live in a society. A social animal. Very way back it was told. But then They started, let's say that these things happen already, you are aware. So this is how these people started fighting. And they have fought like anything. Whatever the democratic polity today you have, people have given their life for that. This you should know that. Even we have independence, so people have given life for that. No any independence is free. Right? People have taken it, they have fought for that. Freedom is not given, it is taken. Yes. So that is what why they want for independence. Because this is how people want to live. Yes. And that is how English glorious war. It is called. It was a fight between monarch and people. Fight of secularism. You should know that. We'll teach sectoral topics, we'll teach you those things, what happens. So, what we have told is the polity that you are talking, this subject that you are going to, let's say, deal or you are going to know, it is about system of government. And that system of government will give you knowledge about state, its nature and characteristics, unitary state, federal state, presidential form of government or parliamentary form of government, written constitution or unwritten constitution. Then we have to know about each one. No, you have to know about each one. You have to know about executive, legislature, judiciary, what they are, to understand them. We have to know about constitution itself, to know its characteristics. Then you have to know about unitary federal aspect. And by the time we will know all these things, your polity and constitution will be finished. This. So that is what we can say democratic polity. So, just we want to give you an overview of this, then we'll start one by one. So, when we adopted democratic polity, let's presume that now we adopted democratic polity, we also adopted. And other countries also adopted democratic polity. Although they adopted their democratic polity quite before what we adopted. No, the first written constitution in the world was written by US, and that came into effect in 1789. This the 1789 first written constitution, and we had 1947. This, so that way we can consider. Anyhow, what we are saying is that democratic polity came with those characteristics. The characteristics we have given. And in those characteristics, democratic polity, government was given a major role. Government was given a major role. This. What is that major role? So, you know that our government is also supposed to play a welfare role. So, even if we had 3 organs in any country, there are 3 organs, but the main organ which governs is called executive, government. Isn't it? At least this much you are aware. The main, you talk government, you don't talk legislature and judiciary. You always say that government should do this. We elect government, not judiciary. This any country elects government. It's another matter that election of government also results into election of legislature. No, election of legislature it also results. So that way we have to understand. So what we are trying to say, government. The government became, that's why we say that polity is nothing but a system of government. This. So this government is supposed to play a role, means govern. Like our constitution. So which institution is responsible for implementation of constitution? Government. Isn't it? It is the government which is responsible to implement constitution. It is the government which is responsible for governing people and fulfilling their aspirations. We don't say it is judiciary which is responsible, we don't say it is legislature. So in democratic polity, the most important element is government. Right? And all others are either to support government or check government. Isn't it? Main element is government. And others are either to support it or check it. Legislature can support also and check also. Judiciary can support also and check also. So support you do not need, rather you need check. Because support you are grown up, you can govern. The government is alone adequate, it can govern, it needs less support. But at times when judiciary does not interfere in the work of the government, so it is a support. And when legislature passes a bill introduced by executives, it is a support. When it rejects, then it is a check. Rejection तो आज तक हुआ नहीं, बहुत ही rare bills are rejected. So that is what we have to understand. When we say polity, so polity is basically nothing but government. Others are just to support government. Like election commission is also supporting to conduct elections, supporting government. This we can say. And UPSC is also helping government to recruit some meritorious people, right, who can serve government. It is helping government. This way you should know. Government was main institution. But this government, let's say that by 1980s, it started, let's say, failing. It started failing. No. कुछ तो पढ़ा ही होगा आपने. What's your background? Let's have a brief introduction. No. So we'll start from you. Zoology. What is optional? Same optional. Yes. Computer science. So optional? Anthropology. Civil engineering and public administration. And economics optional. Oh, great. Computer science. And optional? Not decided. Yes, confused between what? Management and public administration. Sociology and public administration. Two are two different subjects. Why to confuse? Yes. Information technology and optional public administration. English literature and sociology. Yes. History honors. The history optional hoga? Very obvious. Political science and optional economics. Geography. Oh, so 3 subjects. Psychology. Very different, yes. Optional. And? Okay, honors and optional. Anthropology, yes. Anthropology. Difficult to ask to online people one by one. That anyhow. So certain aspect of you may have studied history a bit. Are you able to understand what we are saying? Is it? Are you able to connect what we are saying? So before teaching topic, we basically try to help you understand the topic. This is how our motive. Once you understand the topic, so then understand the concept. And once you have a right approach, then it helps you understanding the topics and connecting them. This. So what now we are saying after saying democratic polity to relate to the syllabus. The syllabus that we are trying to relate it. And then we'll start with our topics. Democratic polity, so you will know by the time we teach polity. Right. Proper understanding will come only when you will teach all those things. What is written constitution, why constitution is needed, and the separation of power, why separation of power is needed, and why we need a federal polity, and how the polity is working, blah blah things, let's say. What now we are trying to relate is we have a democratic polity. So when we have a democratic polity, then why we need this? Why we need, let's say, not this is an objective, why we need this? So we are trying to connect with this. We are trying to connect in a way, this one and this one. Because whatever we have taught, means whatever we have told today, we have told only about this. But syllabus has also this part. It is a major part. Syllabus has also this part. It is a major part. If you go topic wise, it is half of the syllabus. IR is completely different thing, isn't it? It does not need to be connected. This, but if you want to connect polity, etc., so you can connect by saying that PSIR means political science. One political science paper is also related to international relations, and political science also deals with polity. This way you can say the polity also has international dimension. That way it can be just connected. Rest we are trying to tell this one and this one. So let's say that we decided, means people decided and the states, let's say, came into existence. A modern democratic polity was decided. That modern democratic polity will have some basic characteristics related to a written constitution, 3 organs of the state, and let's say citizens enjoying some rights, and that state has promised to people for something to govern. All states will promise to people that, see, we will give you dignity of life. No. Dignity of life means you can say liberty, equality and freedom. That is how we can consider. And that is how the process started, 17th, 18th, 19th centuries and then further in 20th century. Meanwhile, what happens? We start realizing that the democratic polity which we adopted is not, let's say, able to achieve the aspirations we want. This, or let's say somehow it is not able to fulfill the desires of people. This, or even you can say present government, whether present government is able to serve people better. What do you think? Anyhow, so do you think, not forget about present government, do you think states are able to serve people better? Difficult to say at this stage. Anyhow, you know that we also had 4 decades of socialist type of economic policy, and our GDP growth rate was very less. No, we say as Hindu growth rate. If you have heard this term, isn't it? Recently it was also in news. Raghuram Rajan once again used it, if you read newspapers. Anyhow, can we say that we are growing to our potential? This must, ये तो neutral question है. Now, are we growing to the level of our potential?
No, sir.
Not growing. अब क्या चाहिए? 7% ग्रोथ रेट हो रहा है. So, state, people, government. This is what the relation. Now, the government does not have to only govern. It has so many things to achieve. This, it has to see whether people are able to realize their potential. When we'll teach you fundamental rights, why fundamental rights? So we say it is related to potential of people. Fundamental rights ensure achieving potential of people. How people can achieve their potential? How you can achieve your potential? First, you need freedom. But merely freedom will not give. You need choice. No. Choice. So do you have choice? Anthropology to public administration? Anyhow, basically a state has to do so many things, you know that, to realize potential of people. ऐसे आप नहीं समझेंगे. जैसे स्कूल्स है, बहुत सारे गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स है. जो बच्चे स्कूल्स में पढ़ने जाते हैं, गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स, द पीपल दोज हु आर चिल्ड्रन हु आर गोइंग टू गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स, do you think that they will grow with their potential? You know it better. Only thing we do not accept it. Your parents tried their best to teach you in the best school, isn't it? This why they want to teach you in the best school? So that you can realize your potential. No, the thing you want, you should realize. That is how people want, your parents want. Yes. But do you think that those who are going to those government schools, they will realize their potential? Never. Forget about some exceptions. उसमें से कोई एक बच्चा इंस्पायर्ड होगा, ठीक है, और 18 घंटे पढ़ेगा, isn't it? फाइट करेगा, फिर वो आकर के IAS बनेगा. उससे वो तो एक्सेप्शन है. Let's talk about the rule. Largely, let's say how many children are studying in government schools? Huge number of children. So when huge number of children are studying in government schools, and you know that they may not realize their potential, so when they will grow, will they be asset for the country or liability? Liability. So when they are liability, so our country will not grow with that potential. This, it is very simple. Now the question comes, why still government schools have not improved? We are now in 7 decades of our independence. Is it so difficult? Rather, they have become worse. They were good, but they have become worse. Why they have become worse? Right. So, you know it also, why we have become worse. Right. It's all corruption. It's all lack of care. It's lack of concerns, isn't it? We'll teach when we'll take you education topic. What we are trying to say is, see, 70 years, if you think, I guess, don't you think it is adequate to improve the quality of education? Can we say, we need another 70 years? That 70 years can be considered adequate. But the government schools will find even same thing with government hospitals. Same thing with PSUs. Wherever government name is attached. Right? Wherever government name is attached, right, you will have this or that problem. Right? Air India was privatized recently. You know, it was in loss, and you know, thousands of crores loss. So many such, if you have your BTech degrees, you may be a bit aware about your PSUs, etc., isn't it? This, so you know it, all these things. So the question is that why they are not efficient. Wherever government name we attach, somehow another thing also comes in mind, inefficiency. Isn't it? Or another thing comes in mind, misuse of powers. No, misuse of powers. So basically that is how it has happened, that governments over a period of time, the democratic polity that we adopted, the idea which was given by those political philosophers that if there is a state elected government, three organs, written constitution, citizens' fundamental rights, then the state will be able to govern better. But even we adopted this system, but after some time we realized, no, it is still not adequate. When it is not adequate, so we started talking something else. New set of philosophers started coming. New set of theories started coming. So the philosophers will told Locke, Montesquieu and others, they were one set of philosophers. During this time, there would be another set of philosophers which are not known, means needed to know here, but yes, one important philosopher will be John Rawls. And he will give theory of justice in 1963. Just imagine. But already everything is written, isn't it? That constitution, fundamental right, then still he writes theory of justice. Then Amartya Sen writes capability approach. This. And he said development means freedom. He does not say development means growth. What do you say? Development means freedom. The new set of philosophers come, new set of ideas come, and they started saying that the state should change itself. Yes. What state should change? Basically, here state was doing everything. If you take this relation, we say that the state was doing everything. This is called state, and this is called private sector, and this is called civil society organization. The role of state remain very limited. Sorry, role of others remain very. Everything was done by state. The state became very big. You may have heard the name of police state. No. Big state, Leviathan state, or at least welfare state. This will state become. Therefore, what they started saying is, no, state should reduce itself. The democratic polity should shrink, and it should give space to others. This. So, they started talking like this. Now it is state, it is private sector. This. So what has state has become? It has shrunk, and they have spread. Can we say? That's why your polity has been changed. Polity syllabus has been changed. Because today polity will also include other sectors. Because polity means government cannot govern alone effectively. This is how it is said. Government cannot govern alone effectively. It must govern together. Yes. It must govern together. This we say. What is together? This is together. That's why it has come. The concept of governance is this. If you talk governance, what is governance? The governance means it's collectively solving the problems of society. And for what you are, so you want to achieve social justice. The social justice is an objective, a sort of objective. And governance is a sort of means, a process, in which polity is also included. Right. And that's why let's say that today we need all these, let's say that. So today polity will have also role of civil society organizations as well as private sector. Right. Yeah, anything you write, it's the same. Yes, yes. This is, I guess, see, today is not the class to talk this. Right. Today is the class to give a positive view on this. Enjoy the positive view. Right. A time will come we will try to evaluate also. Right? Merely participation is not going to give result. Participation must be effective. This. So this we can say. Now, as far as this state is concerned, or government is concerned, it is interchangeable. It does not matter. Right? This. Whether your state is presumed as government, or government is presumed as state. So it does not matter that way. So I guess you got a thin idea about what is polity, system of government, why it came. This when we say today democratic polity, what that democratic polity has some characteristics, and then this democratic polity when it started its journey. So thereafter, why we started talking governance? The governance we started talking because this democratic polity is supposed to, or it is being considered that it is not as effective. That's why there are changes. This, and then present means we'll try to know. By the time we'll reach to teach all those topics, you will come to know that whether it is able to, means whether the three aspects, because you know the traditional polity you will know, then governance also you will know, and then you will realize yourself whether we are able to govern effectively. Still you will know no, we are not able to. This, but that judgment I do not want to pass here today. Rather, we just want to say the polity structure. The polity structure like this, which we'll try to understand one by one. So, what we have told, let's say, as far as the approach is concerned, let's say. So, your approach would be like this is called foundation, or let's pre-foundation, which you will build through NCERT. Then it's foundation, which you will build through Lakshmikant, DD Basu. Then let's further. That way, we'll have the approach. Then let's take topics. So basically, first we'll deal this Indian Constitution, historical underpinnings. So we have given a bit of historical. In general, we have given not Indian specific, which will talk you. Evolution aspect, how it has evolved, this features, amendments, significant provisions, and basic structure. This section will include, the first topic will include it will include, let's say, even fundamental rights, its preamble, fundamental rights, DPSPs, and fundamental duties. They have not mentioned those things. But covering first topic will include, let's say, it is the most important part of your polity section. It is the core part of the polity section, and it is more, let's say, that critical part of the polity section. The first topic. Other topics are enjoyable and less critical, let's say that, because they are more broader aspect, but it deals with some technicalities which we have to understand, the difference between liberty and freedom, difference between equity and equality, difference between many other things, isn't it? Due process of law and procedure established by law. This is your question, rule of law and law, natural justice, blah blah things. It will cover those traditional or conventional aspects. So let's start with this called Indian Constitution. In each section, again, there will be subsection when we'll talk those topics. Right. This. So first we have to take constitution. Let's see when we talk about, as we have told that it is it depends how broadly you go and define. This broadly we go and define. So there you can consider that. Now some more things we have added. Simple way when you have to tell, so this much is enough. Simple. It is a legal document which deals with polity. ऐसे भी बोल सकते हो. It is a legal document which deals with system of government. That also you can say machineries of government. But further, if you want to elaborate, so you have to take the objectives of a state. What should be the objectives and the rights of citizens. So then it becomes a bit comprehensive definition of constitution. This. Now, since it is a legal document, so this. Now, whether it is one legal document, a set of legal documents, to know that we have to know other aspect. It can be, let's say that, written or a constitution can be written or unwritten. This, there is a difference between written or unwritten constitution, can we say? So when it is, this you have to written. What does it mean? So, constitution, even if it is a legal document, it has a specific connotation. It is not similar to any law. Rather, it is different. Because anything can be a law, but anything cannot be constitution. Yes. This constitution is something bigger. So, a constitution also deals with polity of a state. But when it is written, it means that there is a proper planning. There is deliberation. Right? And then it has been written. Now, so when we write something, we deliberate, we think, no, we prioritize, isn't it? Like when we speak something, we can speak anyway, randomly also. But when you write something, you write in a different way, isn't it? So, when we speak, it can be less formal, but when we write, it becomes formal. So, constitution is written. When we say it is written, it means there is a deliberate planning behind that. Right? And then it has been written. So, constitution is written generally by an institution known as Constituent Assembly. Or you can say anything, its name. Means there is an institution or there is a set of people who sit together and they deliberate and then they write a constitution. And when they adopt that constitution, that is how it is considered as a written constitution. Like in our country, Constituent Assembly was set up. It had certain number of members and it has several committees. Most important was drafting committee headed by B.R. Ambedkar, and that finally drafted the constitution, and then you know that it was adopted. You can learn from that. Now you know they had several meetings. Constituent Assembly held several meetings. In those meetings, they had their agendas for discussion, deliberations. You know that the resolution was introduced. If members agreed, so there was consensus. If members did not agree, there was voting. There was voting. And if majority favored, then that section was adopted. If majority voted against, it was not adopted. Right. Just to tell you interesting thing, they wanted to adopt name of God. Constitution should be adopted in the name of God. Right. Or Mahatma Gandhi should be mentioned in preamble. For that there was a voting, it was defeated. Right. It means written constitution is deliberately written. There is a thinking behind that. It is important to understand. So when there is a thinking behind that, so that thinking is called constitutional morality, which we'll talk you later. This. So there is a thinking why you should adopt, like we have adopted a federal polity of quasi-federal polity. Why we have adopted a quasi-federal polity? Why we have entered fundamental right only that, and why we have mentioned DPSP? Why governor is let's say appointed, not elected? So आपको जानना पड़ेगा. You have to know what Constituent Assembly was thinking, isn't it? It means there is a deliberation. A written constitution is nothing but a deliberate attempt to adopt a constitution. Right. So when a written constitution is adopted, it becomes fundamental law of the land. It becomes the most important law of the land. And all other laws would become subordinate to that. This. So we have a written constitution. US had a written constitution. It is a fundamental law. हमारे देश में जो सबसे बड़ा लॉ है वो कौन सा है? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. स्टेट के लिए, फॉर स्टेट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट लॉ. नाउ व्हेन देयर इज अनरिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, it means कि there was no any such deliberate attempt. When it is unwritten constitution, so there is no any deliberate attempt. So when there is no any deliberate attempt, so there is no one legal document. There would be a set of legal documents, and they together would constitute as constitution. So which country is that? UK.
UK.
Yes. The UK is a country where you have unwritten constitution. Then question comes, why it is important to have a constitution, and the country where the constitution evolved itself does not have a written constitution. Right. This further the question will bring. You should know that constitutional system and democracy evolved on UK land, not on US land. Right. Although US is first to adopt a written constitution. So how it is possible? So in modern world, all constitutional experts, or most of the constitutional experts belong to UK. Right. Try to understand this way. Legal and political philosophers largely belong to UK. Philosophers belong to France. And academicians belong to Germany. And US knows how to utilize them. This is true. US does not have its intellectuals. It knows how to utilize them. And it has utilized them better. So this way, if you see the world-renowned intellectuals, academicians, philosophers, political leaders, that way there is a kind of division, you can say. Like J.S. Mill from UK, Jeremy Bentham, UK, Rule of Law, A.V. Dicey, UK, Beg Hart, who gave Constitution, UK. And UK is the country where rule of law was given. UK is the country where first democracy evolved. Magna Carta, 1215, this, and first English Revolution. The first revolution happens in UK, and a fight between democratic rights and monarchical rights, and rule of law, and all these characteristics are adopted in the constitution. So constitutional system also evolves on UK land, and democracy also evolves on UK land. Hence, UK is considered mother of all democracy in the world. This you should know. And those who will not know it, they will keep saying that India is temple of all democracies. So, although we have temples, but not democracy. Anyhow, so why we are saying in that way? Gradually understand. So, a written constitution is the fundamental law of the land. All other things or everything is done by the government should conform to the written document. If it does not conform to the written document, it is arbitrary. It can be nullified by the court. This. And hence we have, when there is a democracy and when government governs, By that written document, it is called constitutional democracy. You may have heard name of constitutional democracy. At times in newspaper it is written. So we have a constitutional democracy. A democracy which is led by the constitution. And judiciary has been made guardian of the constitution. Yes. These are the some few things, let's say. So let's write on this. Let's complete this. A constitution can be. A constitution can be written or unwritten. Written or unwritten. Written or unwritten. The first written constitution was adopted by US in 1789. Although UK is the land where constitutional system and democracy evolved in modern times. Like Magna Carta, (1215). Next, English Revolution. Next, parliamentary system of government. Next, concept of rule of law. However, UK did not adopt a written constitution. There are following differences between written and unwritten constitution. Written and unwritten constitutions. On the one side, you write. On the one side, written constitution. On the other side, unwritten constitution. There is a deliberate attempt to adopt. There is a deliberate attempt to adopt a constitution. Hence, it is written and adopted. This side, there is no any such deliberate attempt. Unwritten constitution side, there is no any attempt to write and adopt constitution. Next, a written constitution becomes fundamental law of the land. A written constitution becomes fundamental law of the land. Which is considered supreme. And all other laws are subordinate. To this law. this side. Okay. Laws exist side by side. Laws exist side by side. No any one law is supreme. No any one law is supreme. Supreme. Next, the legal document has sanctity. The legal document has sanctity. Sanctity. In unwritten side you are writing, the legal document has sanctity and it cannot be easily changed. It cannot be easily changed. This side. The laws do not have sanctity. The laws do not have sanctity and they can be changed. They can be changed very easily. Very easily. This is the difference. No. This we'll learn gradually to why. A written constitution which has been adopted, that constitution will also mention the process of amendment, methods of amendment. Hence, they cannot be easily changed, like say our constitution. It is rigid as well as flexible. But if you take, let's say that laws, means UK constitution, what does it mean when we say unwritten constitution? So any country, let's say like UK has unwritten constitution. So unwritten constitution will consist of laws, this conventions, judicial orders, legal books. These all are considered as constitution in UK. It means not only laws but also conventions. Our parliamentary democracy is based on convention. Their democracy is also based on convention. Relationship between queen and government is based on convention. In our country, it is mentioned in constitution. हमारे देश में क्या है? Article 74, 75, 78, 77. We have, but UK does not have such details. This gradually you will know all these things. So, convention is also part of constitution. Plus, in judicial orders, judgments are given. Let's say that also become basis for governance, and legal books, rule of law. The book itself is also serving as aspect of constitution. But when we have a written law, so a written law, let's say that written law may incorporate all, isn't it? It may prioritize and it can incorporate all. So that single document becomes basis. Okay. Like say our constitution. Our constitution has also conventions incorporated. Gradually we'll come to know this. Then the question will come that why we need a written constitution? Why we need a written constitution? And why UK does not have a written constitution, and why so far it has not felt a need for constitution? That will give you some broader understanding. Why we need a constitution? Do we need a constitution? Why India adopted a written constitution? Why US adopted a written constitution? What was the, let's say that inspiration behind that? Which factor influenced US to adopt a written constitution? कुछ तो होगा तभी तो उन्होंने written constitution adopt किया. What was that factor? So we'll talk it further tomorrow. It will help you understand this. Polity basically about constitutional aspect, and there is a book called Constitution at Work. It will also help you understand. So when you go, so you read Constitution at Work, that book, because it deals with constitution. We will deal tomorrow also related to constitution, day after tomorrow also related to constitution. In fact, our talk will continue for 15 days about constitution, which will also include making of constitution, why we adopted, the process of then adoption of constitution, features of constitution, then the preamble, the fundamental rights and UPSCs and fundamental duties. In that also, while dealing, we will deal also basic structure doctrine, amendability of constitution, whether constitution can be amended, it cannot be amended, that aspect, so amendability. And the day you talk about amendability, you have to talk about basic structure also, because basic structure came out of amendability debate. These our first, let's say that the 15 lectures are going to be led by such things, which will give you understanding about constitution. And then we go to the polity part, means called executive, legislature, judiciary, etc., etc. Right? So, hope you are able to connect what we are trying to say in this related to polity. Now, second thing is about the classes, let's say, what you should approach, how you should approach. So, basically, we follow very regimental thing in terms of dictating proper notes. So, you have to write it. When we dictate it, it will serve as your final note. It will serve you as main note. This you should know. You should write in such a fashion, write in copy, let's say that it should become your main note. So that by going home, you don't have to prepare, let's say, another note. It will take double effort of no use. In the class itself, you should write properly. In a proper note, let's say, in a copy that it can serve as your note. Because you cannot write again this thing, it is so time consuming. First. Second, notes are important. Forget about what other people will tell you. Again, notes are important because there are many things which you cannot find in books. This is but जो चीज ये सब बता रहे हैं हम लोग, आपको बुक्स में नहीं मिलेगा. किसी एक बुक में नहीं मिलेगा. So there are so many things which are not part of books. So when not part of books, how can you remember in long run? Right. Suppose why UK why UK does not have constitution, why UK adopted constitution. Suppose I tell something and after some time you forget it, no? So you have not to know it. But once you forget, source bhi nahi milega aapko. So first thing is that. Second thing is that it teaches you discipline. Discipline means writing habit, writing practice. Because generally we dictate a bit fast and further speed will increase with, let's say, growing number of classes. It teaches you discipline, you get writing speed also. Third thing is that notes tell you.